This is Al Kiblan TV. Today we are talking about youth empowerment. This is a show that is from Africa to the world. We are basically looking for ways on how to empower our generation, the younger generation, to actually venture more into business and be self-employed, not just waiting for people to employ them. And today we have a guest in the studio. I will not say much about himself, but this is a person that I have sort of worked with, written something. I think if you go on YouTube, Katemba 256, then also he runs a non-government organization that is Touch the Slum. He's self-employed. We're basically looking at experience, and without furthermore wastage of time, I'll give him the opportunity to introduce himself to us, sir.
Yes, hello Africa, hello to the world. My name is Ronald Eligu, and I am the executive director for Touch the Slum. Yeah, but I also love content creation. I am a big fan of comedy and movies. Yeah, so I'm also part of that field too, and I'm glad to be on the show. So I think, yeah, we're going to have a good time.
A very good time.
Yeah.
Basically, we are handling a topic that is youth empowerment, and basically we are talking about the experiences of men. You know, we have gone to school and then we're given theory, but the theory does not match the practicals when we enter into the field. And talking about business, we want to actually understand a young man out there that has maybe sat and maybe funds have been granted to him. How does he manage these funds? How does he come up with business ideas to know which one works, which one has not worked, which kind of environment the person is supposed to be actually indulging himself into. So basically, we're looking at the business. We want to see the business idea generation from experience, not from books. When we invite guests here, we know anyone can actually go and sit and read the book. Mm-hmm. They say knowledge is power, but the effect of that power is how to apply it.
Oh,
yes. The effect of that power is how to apply it. So we are going to start first from our first question, from the process of the generation of the idea. Most especially when we are lingering, sir, I want us to focus on Touch the Slum. How? Because it's the best experience that we have here, and we have you, the executive director here.
Oh, great. Now, when we talk about youth empowerment, that is a very big topic. And speaking about youth empowerment, Uganda shouldn't be left behind because it is one of the youngest countries we have in the world. And if you see, in Africa, we could be even amongst the top 10 or even amongst the top 5 youngest countries. And so talking about youth empowerment, that is a big issue that everyone needs to be looking at. Look around Uganda, look around East Africa. There's a generation that is coming up that is full of young, energetic people that need and are very hungry for opportunities. Now, just look at what is happening in Kenya, the Gen Z. Now, Gen Z is a generation of very young, vibrant people. And that's the same generation that we're talking about here in Uganda too, and the entire Africa. Now, young people struggle a lot with coming up with ideas. Personally, I struggled a lot on finding out what best I can do, discovering myself. You know, self-discovery is a very big, long journey also that one must take on. But when you talk about startups, as a young person, I look at how far are you willing to go to put this idea into practice. Now, one thing that you must always look at is those many ideas that you have you taken an initiative to write them down? The problem is most times we be working and you get an idea, by the time you reach where you're going, you've forgotten. And many of us don't write ideas down. That's the first thing. You don't write it down, so the next time you want to review ideas that you have to make some good plans, you don't have them, you've forgotten them. So number one thing is that I personally wrote down a lot of ideas that I had, and I started looking at them one at a time, looking at what can I do, where is my capability. Because my first questions that I always ask people when I'm talking to them about ideas is that, what do you have in your hand?
What do you have in your hand?
Hands. Now sometimes when I say what do you have in your hands, people are looking at what they have physically holding in their hands like a phone. But what do you have control of?
All right. Okay.
What do you have control of? Because many of us have opportunities around us. We have mobile phones, we have ideas that we have written down, we have people, even people are opportunities.
Sorry to cut you. Talking of that, what do you have in your hand? So basically you're saying, let me bring this example based, because you find out there's a rich person out there, maybe a girl,
yes,
who is having one of the latest smartphone. But there is a creator out there, when you land them that smartphone, that becomes what brings food on them.
Yes. So what you have in your hand and how important is it to you? Because we all have different values we attach to things. I can be having an iPhone, but for me it is just for making phone calls. And when you hold it, it is going to make you a lot of money, So now for every young person out there, what do you have in your hand? That's the first thing you should ask yourself. When I was starting Church Islam, I didn't have the money. I used to tell myself, I have empty pockets, but a bag full of dreams. Yes, and I had to write these dreams down. Looking at my community, there were lots of young people that had limited access to education. And I couldn't do anything about it because I didn't have the money. But then they are growing. So by the time I have money, they have outgrown.
They have outgrown
the levels of education they're supposed to go through. So I write that down and I say, what if someone is 16 years old and they only stopped in P2? What is the best thing that they can do? That's where I look at, how about we start doing some things on either soft skills or vocational skills? But then I can't afford big machinery for big vocational skills. Why don't we start with things that my friends have? That time I had friends at campus. I remember I had a friend who knew how to make liquid soap. And I said, now that is what I have in my hand. Can we talk? Can we see how do you share your skills of making liquid soap with these young people in the slum? We start with that and then we can go on upgrading. That's how I started. I started with an idea, looked at the challenges the young people were going through, and we said, let's start with what we have. So I made out a call, different WhatsApp groups. People came through and I started asking, who has a skill? What do you know?
And you're seated on it.
Yes. So someone told me, I know how to make a good soap. Then I said, okay, so now this is what I have. It is not me that has the skill, but I have someone who has the skill. Why don't we start with that? So usually you need to put down those ideas. Then the next question you ask yourself is, what do you have in your hands? Because what you have in your hands can introduce you to what you don't have in most cases.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is, basing on what you have just said, you don't just wake up and then you say, I'm going to do business. Most times you have to look at, actually, I think businesses are just solutions to a problem.
Yes, every business is a solution to a problem, and in most cases you don't just wake up. Now if you wake up today and give me money to start up a business and you say I want you to start it tomorrow, trust me, I'm going to just copy someone's business and start it. I don't know the dynamics, I don't know the losses they have incurred, I have not taken down to study that idea, I have not known that there are customers or is supplying to some people elsewhere. That's why many times nowadays startups are coming and they're saying we want people who have already started something. They're not giving capital to people who are starting afresh. Do you know why? Because they believe they will give you the money and you'll be excited. But if you're already running something, you know that I'll just add in here and there to make it perfect.
That's a very interesting statement, that if you are, they actually prefer to give men finances, people who have experience.
Yes.
Because when they give people who are starting up, there's a lot of excitement.
We have funding opportunities. And of course, many of us cannot reach them. Do you know why? Because we haven't started up anything yet.
Could that be why you go for a job and then you find out that they're saying a 5-year experience?
5 years experience.
that work.
And then when you say, I don't have 5 years experience, but we have wasted all our time in clubs. Yeah, because no, you can get experience. There are lots of volunteering opportunities. Unfortunately, they are expensive. I know they are expensive. I have been a volunteer for a couple of years. You have to transport yourself, sometimes you have to feed yourself, but at the end of the volunteering time, you talk to the supervisors and they get you a recommendation letter and they say they have volunteered with us for 1 year.
It's like asking how many young people out there are actually willing to volunteer just for experience.
If you ask that question now, everyone will raise up their hand, they are willing to. But once they start doing it practically, you're going to realize no one was willing to. They were just excited.
Is that the excitement you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what investors are not looking for. They're looking for people who have written their ideas, they have looked at what they have seen, they have a control over, and they have seen that this is where we can put all our energy.
Okay. So,
and many times, you see, we want to work out things in a very swift way. We want them to happen immediately. If I see Ronald who starts the slam and where he is now, see him on podcasts, maybe on newspapers, I want to be like him tomorrow. But you don't know how much he has sacrificed, how much he has put in, and how far he has come.
you know, one man said that the biggest outcry of his heart for our generation is that men are desiring things of the processes they cannot manage.
Yes. Many young people walk to you and say, I want to be like you. But do you know what it takes to be like me or like that person?
You know how many nights I went hungry?
Yes.
How many distances I walked?
Honestly, some of us, you sometimes even you sleep at around 4 and you're supposed to be up by 7. And so for some people, they go to bed late and wake up early. But you want to be like them. Someone is driving an expensive car and you want to be like them. But you don't know that during the night they are balancing books. And someone during that time, you're sleeping.
When they're balancing books, there's someone who is basically on TikTok.
Yes.
Sleeping at 4 a.m.
Yes. So sometimes just wish to be something like someone, but don't really wish to be like them sometimes. Because if you don't know the cost that it comes with, then I don't wish that you look at them. People on that podcast, I want to also have nice podcasts like them. But you don't know how much time they spend on the laptop editing and cleaning sound. And for you cannot even give out one whole day to watch a YouTube video on how to edit and clean sound.
Okay, we're going to wrap this episode up, but let me say in summary what he has said from my point.
Yes.
Then he will also summarize.
Yes.
Get it? In summary, he has said that what you have in your hands, what I have picked, is that basically you look at it that when people look at business, the first thing that runs in their head is the finances.
Yes.
Yet actually, I feel from the conversation that we have had, finance is the last thing that comes on
because
the table.
Finance is a lubricant. What is it lubricating?
Okay.
So you can have grease on a bicycle that you don't have.
Can you have grease on a bicycle that you don't have?
You first have the bicycle, then you buy the grease.
So the best thing to actually first come up with is a bicycle.
Have the idea, then look at the finances.
Okay. So your summary.
Well, I would say young people, there are still a lot of things that we are neglecting, and this generation has been raised on an ideology that work should be in certain kind of design, but work should be derived from solutions that solve problems in the first place. I have seen during the rainy days people work with dirty shoes. I have not seen a young person saying, me, I want to have the biggest shoe washing company in Uganda. But every single day I take my shoes for washing and that guy is telling me, boss, you're going to give me 2,000 for starters. And he has loads of pairs of shoes. And when I give him, by the time I return, next day he has not yet washed them. But I know young person is thinking of having the biggest shoe washing company in Uganda. But those companies are there in China.
That means that guy basically has a lot of customers.
Yes. Do you know how much he makes in one day? So I'm saying there are jobs, there are problems that we haven't yet solved.
You know, let's end by saying this. We invited a guest once on this podcast,
yes,
and he mentioned a very powerful statement that has never left my head. He said, we are here on this podcast, we are speaking sense. How many young people will click on this and watch?
The truth is they will not watch it because they don't like watching it. They don't like to follow and sit for 8 minutes and watch. That's why there are very many courses on YouTube and they're only being watched by the elderly. Someone is 40 years and they're learning how to do graphics design. And the person who is 25 and unemployed is watching movies. Every money they get, they are downloading movies. But they are not learning how to edit movies.
Oh my God. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we shall come back for the next episode. And the next episode we shall talk about now how to establish that idea that you have actually come up with. The best thing that has been said here is that the bicycle has to appear first before you lubricate it.
Yeah. Before you lubricate, because when you buy grease first, what are you going to do?
Alright, catch you on the next episode.
Alright, thank you.